already started officially in her retrograde motion on March 4th, and officially she'll be moving retrograde till April 15th. Now, obviously she's not moving backwards in the sky or in her orbit. Planets don't do that. But from the point of view of the Earth, she appears to be moving backwards. And so since we live on the Earth, the issues related to Venus and her domain appear to be moving backwards. They can get jammed up. They can not function as well. And they're more available for review. So she kind of backs up over a part of the sky and then kind of lingers there and will stimulate certain areas and certain themes for a while. So that's why it's interesting when planets are retrograde, because they don't just go zipping through, they come back and they hang out. And you're like, hey, pay attention here, wake up, let's focus on this. And so since they appear to be going backwards, a lot of what we experience is like a redo or a review, or sometimes stuff breaks down in that area and you have to recreate something or readdress it. So that's a lot when you hear about retrograde, when astrologers are talking about that, it's that type of principle. And when the inner planets, the faster moving planets like Mercury and Venus move retrograde, it's way more noticeable, because usually they go zipping through a part of the sky quickly. And when they're backing up, and it's way more noticeable when a fast moving object slows down, backs up, slows down again. But the outer planets, because they're so slow anyway, you know what I mean, their retrograde movements, it's not that they aren't meaningful, it's just not such a big deal. It's kind of like, a turtle backing up a little bit, and, lingering. It barely moves at all, So that's why Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde astrologers talk about those a lot more. And the thing about Venus moving retrograde is, out of all the planets in our solar system, she goes retrograde the least often. So she only goes retrograde once every 19 months. She has a 19-month cycle. And for example, Mercury, which is the next planet closest to the sun, retrogrades 3 or 4 times a year, which we all know. If you follow astrology, people are like, how can it be going backwards again? So Venus it's more of a big deal. That's why it's worth looking at and it's worth talking about. And the cool thing about Venus through her cycle in the sky, get into this a little more, is the planet of beauty and love, right, and creativity. She makes a pattern in the sky that looks like a flower. Her cycle every 19 months is like resembles the spiraling energy of flowers and certain plant life and certain spiraling growth here on Earth. It's really beautiful. So that synod, it's called Venus synod, every 19 months, is her cycle where she's tracing that shape in the heavens. And when she's retrograde, that's when she's actually closest to the Earth in her orbit. And specifically, this year on March 25th, that's when she's the most close to the Earth. So that's why we're feeling her presence more. We feel her issues, her concerns. We're more aware of her types of themes. And on March 25th, she'll actually be in between the Earth and the Sun, and in the closest point in her orbit to the Earth. So that's why it's really worth taking a look at what she's doing.